Yeah, it's like, we can't confirm. Well, kill him confirmed. I'm Austin.
And I'm Cloud.
And this is We Watch Spooky Dream Movies.
Well, it is a train movie.
It's in the name, even.
Yeah.
Whoop. Today's movie is Train to Busan. Train to Busan is a 2016 action thriller horror zombie apocalypse film directed by Yong Sang-ho, starring Gong Woo, Jung Yoo-mi, and Ma Dang-sok. How about a plot synopsis?
An overworked father who isn't really paying much attention to his daughter.
Cliche.
It's her birthday and she wants to go see her mom.
Cliche.
So they go take her to go see her mom, who's in Busan. But once they get on the train, there's a zombie outbreak, so they have to survive. And most do not.
Yeah, most do not.
Yeah. Get like 2.5.
And a double Wii.
Yeah.
You can have a second Wii. There's nothing wrong with having a second Wii.
I think it's more on the lines that
He didn't know.
Yeah,
Well,
he didn't pay attention.
Did he buy that one for that other holiday and just forgot that he already bought her the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if it's like, oh, someone else bought it and he just didn't know, or like, no, you already bought me one and you don't remember. This is how neglectful a father you are.
I would say, okay, so the movie starts off, we have a dude who's like driving like a small little livestock looking vehicle back to his farm. He comes across like a chemical control area. It's like, hey, we gotta spray you down. There's been some chemical spills. And the guy
Which I guess is true.
Yeah, like he just shakes his fist in anger. And then he's like, I'll come back with a hammer or something if you bury my livestock again. And then he hits a deer, and then the deer's a zombie. So, holy shit.
Yeah, which that I really like.
Yeah.
I like that it just like it takes a long time. You know, he drives on and he's upset, but then we kind of stay on the quiet road where nothing is happening, and it just sort of pans back over to the deer, and we sit there for quite a while, and then it like cracks its neck and then stands up, and we see it has zombie eyes.
And it's like, well, I think this is one of the more horrifying aspects is a lot of zombie movies don't have zombie animals.
No.
Zombie animals are more horrifying than zombie people.
I mean, that's the only one we see, I think, isn't it? So
it's the only one that we see.
It doesn't matter. Like, we never run into zombie dogs or anything chasing people.
No. Which is good.
I mean, I guess, but then the setting up the like, oh, it's animals too, is kind of odd because it never comes back.
But
there's like missed opportunity to have like someone with a purse dog or something just like come flying out of their purse and just eat their face. I guess it would have to get bit first, but
yeah, like they'd have to not completely consume the purse dog,
which would be tough to do.
Yeah.
Although they don't seem to be intent on consumption. Like they're not eating people really. They're just like killing people and making them zombies. Like they don't just go to town on someone once they actually catch them. They kind of move on.
See, I can understand like there's prey kind of mentality. So it's like we're hunting and we're killing the people and turning them into zombies because we know there's some there. But I would have liked to have seen a scene where it's like you see some zombies eating on something because there's like not people around. You know, like they stumble upon some and they're eating, not just they're just duh.
Yeah,
we don't see anything
unless there's somebody alive to
do something
too. Yeah, which I don't know how they tell the difference.
Exactly. Like, what if you're just standing there like?
We don't get the they can smell the difference or something like some things have. It's just like, oh look, a thing that's moving, but you were all moving too and just bumping into each other and not really doing anything.
Well, even on that, their eyesight is so bad in like a very dim cave because like the train has lights in it.
Yeah.
So as they're passing through the tunnel, it gets darker to the point that the only lights are from within the train.
Yeah.
And they can't see anything.
Yeah.
even with that amount of light, they can't see anything. So what is it that they're really hunting with?
I don't know, because they can hear.
Yeah.
You see that they can hear, because even when they can't see, if you make noise, they'll at least come that way and try to check it out, but they still can't see.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There doesn't seem to be. I mean, I guess if it's like, this is not some kind of like space radiation, maybe, or like we tried to cure cancer, but look how that turned out. Kind of, it's just like there seems to have been, I don't know, chemicals, or we don't know what they do at that company. Maybe they do work with disease or something. And they accidentally just made something that makes people go crazy and just attack.
That's the thing that I kind of feel
extreme
falls.
bath salts or something.
Yeah, extreme bath salts. It makes the movie kind of fall apart a little bit.
That's not what makes the movie fall apart. We'll get to that.
What? 1 second. We're
I don't mind. I don't mind that part yet. Yeah, well,
we're full steam ahead. Okay. Let's backtrack a little bit, because now I want to talk about the dad and the daughter.
How did he get custody?
I don't know.
I mean, I saw one review that said like the mom must be like really terrible if he's the one that got custody, because he pays no attention.
Well, let's think about this. We don't know anything about the mom, and that hurts.
We don't know anything
case.
about the dad, really. We have all of this like vague indication that he broke up the marriage and that he doesn't pay attention to the children, but it's very vague.
Well, we know that he left the wife because the wife must have done something.
I guess.
That's all we know about that. We know he works all the time, and we know that he doesn't pay a lot of attention to his daughter because he's working all the time. But we also know that his mom is there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to work with. I can see him getting custody because he's working, but the mom is working, and he's the only one who has the ability to have like child supervision because his mom's there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can say. So like, I'm fine with that. That's not a concern.
Well, I know nothing about family law in Korea. So.
Yeah. My concern is what is with the mother to make everybody want to go to Busan. Like, what is in Busan that is the end goal? Because yeah, it's like, okay, the mom, but then you have to hit the point where it's no longer about the mom. Busan is safe. Why is Busan safe?
Well, I think it is just like how in, I don't remember which city it is, but whatever the city is in I Am Legend, where they're like, if we can get to the city, they've got the walls and it'll be safe. And it's what you see in the one version of the ending. They actually get there and there is a wall and it's safe. Or like Alaska in Resident Evil or something, where there's just like people have heard because it's distant and nobody knows for sure. It doesn't seem as if maybe it's actually safe. They just think, well, we haven't heard it's not, so we'll try for that.
But you know, like that's what ends up happening is they're going to Busan anyways, and Busan happens to be safe.
Yeah.
But there's no real explanation why. They're just like, oh, the military's there. Yeah, and the military's been everywhere else too,
well, the
and we've seen this.
Supposed to be at the one place that they stopped, and then the military was all dead by the time they got there.
Exactly.
So.
Like it's an attempt. Bleh. It is an attempt to set something up, and I don't know if it's just because of a translation error or what, but I feel that this journey to a location is a bit forced, because like we have all these stops, and I'm like, you know, it'd be fine if their end goal was Busan, but this other area is what is safe, and it's like supposed to actually be safe. And then, you know, like, but where's the mom in all this? We get to hear her voice like one time, and then a mummer of her voice whenever she's talking to the daughter underneath the covers. Like,
yeah,
like there was like, we have the mom, and we have just enough of her to kind of give us a reason to go. But then past that point, she is unimportant completely. But they just, here's a big flag, and you're going to set your hat on top with the hook on the flag. And there it is. Like, there's no reason for it. They could have done something else with it to make it more important, but it's just like, oh, mom's in Busan, Busan's magic or something. Let's just go.
Well, maybe if we actually got there or before the end of the movie, then like we find out what's going on there. We find out it's not safe, and then like that's the leads us to the end or something. There's a little bit of that in the remake of War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise one, where they're trying to get to this place because that's where the ex-wife is, and then I think they do actually get there, and it's not safe because nowhere is safe. But then that happens to be when everybody all the aliens start to die, and then it ends up being safe, and then the mom and the grandparents and everybody are there.
Yeah.
And so they resolve it that way instead of the way that it is here.
And I think that's better because it just happens compared to being, this is what is.
Well, the thing is that we have like an hour 15 or something. We're progressing forward on the train, and we're fighting our way through this and that, and we stopped this one time and then had to get back to the train because everything had already fallen apart there.
Well, we stopped. We slowed down at one station, and there was the infection there, and so you had people being attacked outside.
Well, they
the train.
had already planned not to stop. I think
Yeah.
he just had to slow down so that he didn't just plow through something and derail.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then they kept going, and then it was the next station they were supposed to stop at, and then they were supposed to skip the next one, which is the one they actually ended up stopping at because of a blockade.
Yeah.
And then that's when they got the last train, which went all the way to the Tunnel o' Doom.
Yeah.
And then end
which
of
is
movie.
just outside Busan. But
Yeah.
and there is some good fighting through the train kind of stuff, and and some really good something's over there, and we're having to hide from it, and we're having to sneak around. The one time when the sneaking around didn't work is that can on the ground the homeless guy is going to step on is so obvious, and he may not notice it because it's real close to him, but the dad guy should have noticed it, or it just shouldn't be. It's what that's after we're or almost to the point where things completely start to fall apart. And so I think there's a certain amount of momentum and a certain number of times we can see things go wrong in there trying to survive, and then after that it's just, it's not just that, because the big problem is angry guy in the black suit, because he is the
selfish old man,
the
selfish old man,
the centerpiece of the death of the last third of the movie.
Yeah,
which they almost save, because he comes in and he convinces the whole train car of people that we don't know, they might be infected, they could kill us, and he scares everybody to death, although everybody in that train car, including him, is succumbing to panic, and they're being stupid, and they're not thinking, and they cause extra trouble that they didn't have to, and all of them deserve to die the way that they do because they're no help to anyone. Because they've seen already, someone gets infected, it's right away. There's no it's not the daughter in the basement in Night of the Living Dead where it takes 6 hours for her to change.
Yeah,
someone gets infected, in a minute. And then they're trying to kill you. So this we don't know, you better go over here once you've forced yourselves in and had 3 other people get killed because of it.
Well,
and then
we have to, it's not even that. I can understand the panic and maybe they are infected. But the issue is that you've trapped them on one side and the zombies on the other side. So even if they were infected, now you're blocked in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's the stupid
that's an extra
about.
level of thinking that they're just already stupid enough that they're not even going to think about that. But just once you panic and you start making opposite of good decisions because you're not thinking, then you're just no use. When there's a crisis situation like this where things are extreme and you might get killed and everybody might get killed and it's difficult not to die, once you cross over that, then just either you have to go and not be involved with anybody else so you can't get anybody else killed, or you just have to die and get it over with because you're not going to help anybody and you're only going to be harmed. And so like that leading into that, when they're trapped outside the door and they're holding the door closed on one side where the zombies are, and then they're trying to beat in the door where the rest of the survivors are and won't let them in because they've panicked and are idiots. Like that was making me so angry that then once they get through it, then I'm like, well, okay, you punched him in the face at least. I really wanted you to baseball bat him in the face because then he'd be totally out of the picture, or throw him off the train or something. They didn't do that, but at least you got to hit him. But then like they put him in the other car and they're like, okay, well, this, I still don't like this. And then the door busts open and they all get killed. And so I'm like, okay, fine. You got rid of all of the people that I hated. This is fine. And everybody got what they deserved. And so like you're making some kind of stand on that to you justify the heroes.
Still
and then he survived,
dead.
which I don't believe because he's useless. There's no, and he was at like closer to the zombies than many of the people that got killed. He was like way over there. There's no way he made it past anyone in time because we've seen that he can't protect himself already. He's only been saved because of other people so far. And so there's no way he survives. And so then it's not just here's this character that I hate and is causing harm to the rest of the movie, but also it seems totally unjustified within the movie. And now you're just prolonging things. And it makes it feel like the movie is like 25 minutes longer than it needs to be. Because you start making people make dumb choices or start having unlikely things happen in a way that hadn't happened for the rest of the movie. And so it feels like a different movie in a way and a not as good one. It's like Jessica Jones was like this, where it's like 4 episodes longer than it needs to be, and they only stretched it out that far because they start making characters make dumb decisions so that things can continue that were otherwise resolved, and things that are totally out of character or things that shouldn't have been able to happen, and they just extend it way farther than it should be, and this felt like that too. Eventually he does sort of die, but
well, just him as a character is expected. All kinds of movies have this kind of character because we have to have...
He's the guy that wanted to hide in the basement.
Yeah, we have to have the dude that who's not a zombie that you're going to hate because he's going to fuck things up. We already know this. The problem is his death isn't satisfying.
No.
It's not satisfying.
Getting killed in the train car is the result of what he already caused because they damaged the door in order to get in because he wouldn't let them in already. Then it kills him with something he caused.
Yeah.
And so it completes the circle. And then having him go 3 steps beyond that and have other people get killed in the process because of it, it doesn't feel good. And it doesn't feel like there's ever resolution. And then we have the supposedly emotional moment of the dad sacrificing himself. Although I hated that too because
he stuck his hand in the dude's mouth.
Well, there was that, but then also it's different from the way anyone else has turned into a zombie. He has all of these like, I remember when my kid was born memories, and he gets to smile and then fall off the edge. And it's like, this has never happened to anyone before. Just because he's the primary character doesn't mean that he gets special infection. It doesn't track with the rest of it. The closest that they get, I did like the like blue suit guy fighting to hold the other ones off as he could feel himself turning, and he's doing like these head shake things to try to keep himself, but then he can't for very long.
Yeah, and he still succumbs.
And like that's the sad moment. That's
tough guy.
Way more impactful than the dad at the end.
Yeah. Well, it's because we know that he has a kid on the way, and she hasn't been named
he
yet.
Hasn't neglected yet.
And it's just like, my lazy husband hasn't come up with the name yet. And then like that's when we get it.
Yeah.
So you know at that point she will live because he had to die for her to live. And at the end we have the wife of the tough dude, the unborn kid, and then our main character's daughter. And they're walking through a tunnel. And the thing that confuses me, because I like driving through tunnels, so I'm kind of familiar with how sound kind of echoes. And you're going to tell me that these 2 soldiers, whatever position or rank they are, who are all set up to guard this and look down the whole thing where you can see the other end really easily, couldn't hear her from where you were at. It's like it took her like 3 more steps.
Well,
And then it's just like a loud phone.
I'm not sure. Well, when did she start singing?
Well, that's the thing. Is like it sounds
I
like
think she started singing like pretty far into it. I don't think it was the whole time.
But see, I'm not saying it's the whole time. I'm saying like you can see the end of the tunnel. You can see how far they already are. And then it's just like they take 3 steps and then it's just like bam, an immediate start. And it's already loud. It's not like you hear her start singing and it builds up. It's just like dun-na-na-na-na, and someone hit play, and then it's just a wave of sound through the tunnel, and everybody's like, 1 second, I don't think they're affected.
Yeah.
But, the guy above me told me to just kill him, and so I've got my crosshairs on the pregnant lady's head. So it's going to cause tension.
Well, I think it's an editing decision to do it that way because it's coming from this long silence where he's looking down the scope and we see him all like hesitating to pull the trigger and there's almost no sound, and then the singing is supposed to come as like a shock, not like to scare you, but then suddenly it's breaking this silence.
Yeah,
so
but
it has
see,
more impact. I'm not saying that it's good,
breaks my immersion.
but I think they're trying to do a creative like film kind of thing. Now,
immersion broken.
all of this doesn't even have to happen if the military just has a spotlight to shine down the very dark tunnel that they're looking down to try to identify what's happening. Spotlight.
Or at least somebody being like, hey, yo, you infected? And then hear like the angry mom like crying because of everything they went through.
Yeah, maybe
she already tough. We know she tough. She
maybe a
fits.
bullhorn
Yeah.
or so, because they don't even ask.
Well, no, okay, so here's the deal. They're looking down the tunnel. They have 2 bogeys. All right, you report in, like, we have 2 bogeys coming down the tunnel, blah, blah, blah. All right, spot for infection. They're in the dark.
Yeah.
You cannot spot for infection when something has nothing on it for you to be able to see. That's why either use the light or you wait for them to come close enough that you can...
They're a fair distance from the end of the tunnel also, so once they come out into the light, there's still time to shoot them with the rifle before they can get up and kill you.
Exactly.
And it's just like,
2
of them.
just kill
just
them.
2 of them. One of them's real small.
Just kill them.
Yeah, it's like, we can't confirm. Well, kill him confirmed. It's
like, what kind of order is this?
Orders based on incomplete information. It's bad orders.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that it's a crisis and they don't want to take any chances.
Well, it's not a crisis enough if nothing is happening,
nothing
and then
is
it's just like
happening.
we're just sitting
you
here
can check it out.
waiting. It's like we'll just wait for him to get a little bit closer,
Because they don't want to just. Their orders are not shoot anything that comes through the tunnel because we can't take the chance. They want them to check it out, but then they just don't check it out fully and then make a decision anyway. But it's just so we can come very close to them being shot and have the tension. But by this point, I don't care anymore.
Well, like at this point, I already know it's not going to happen. So it's like you're trying, but it fails because I'm not an idiot. Let's see here. Okay. So we know that the dad is some kind of, they say a fund manager.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
And they seem to be talking about selling stocks or something in the beginning.
Now they're talking about there's like if we gotta sell all of it. Well, one, I don't understand why selling all of it's going to do you any good, but that's fine. How that's going to cause riots and everything? Like, who is selling their stock? Because it doesn't sound like a company is just selling. It sounds like an individual is selling.
Yeah. Well, I think the fund is selling. I think it's like a hedge fund or a mutual fund or something that they're managing, probably a hedge fund since it's a manager.
And they're talking just sell it all. So we got this dude named Kim, right? Analyst Kim. That's what he saved into the phone as. Analyst Kim. And for some reason, Analyst Kim knows that it's like PK Biochem or whatever, biotech.
Yeah.
Had made some chemical that was released that's causing all the problems, and he's upset because he thinks he caused it because he sold the whatever. Which honestly makes no sense to me because
it makes no sense.
I'm rational enough to understand that selling it does not equal spreading chemical.
Well, I don't know if it's the selling or maybe that was the company that they owned a big piece of or something. And so then that was why the company had the money to develop this thing. I don't know. That whole thread it makes no sense.
No.
We have very little explanation of
What is this?
and it's just supposed to be extra emotion.
Which
and
fails.
it doesn't. Yeah, it fails.
Because we don't spend any. We get like
we don't spend
we
any
get
time.
like 15 seconds with Kim because it's like, sell it. Are you sure? Sell it. Hey, wait a second. What are kids into nowadays? And then we get like one phone call and he's like, I'm kind of busy. We got zombies on a train. Hangs up and then it's like 2 text messages.
Yeah.
So I don't know who Kim is and I don't care who Kim is.
We know that Kim calls him sir. That's about as much as we know. So we know he's his boss of some kind. But yeah, I don't care about any of that. And it's not true. It has to be. It can't be the selling because the quarantine thing already exists at the beginning before they have the meeting. So
like it's already started before because they were talking about riots and everything, and then like the riots turned violent and deadly and all that kind of stuff. So we know it has started before we even got to the dude and his daughter. All right, so I want to talk about the old lady for a second. You got the 2 old ladies that we meet who don't appear that old. Like, they better be like 80-something who just happen to look like maybe in their late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, I think 60s.
Because it's like, there's no way. Like, the people they have playing this role don't look as old as they're trying to pretend. And I can understand, like, old people don't move as well as everybody else because they're kind of worn down. It's sad, I know. And I know that the lady had been doing some crazy movement because they had to escape the zombies and get stuck in a bathroom and have to move forward and all this other kind of jazz. That's fine. That's fine. But when they finally get to the ass end of this and they're trying to break through the door and they get through and then the lady just stands there. She had plenty of time to just walk, not run, not jump, skip, hop, just walk. She wasn't helping move anything. It's not like she had to exert force beforehand and now she's tired.
No.
She just stood there the whole time. And then it's just like, oh, it's my time to go. Bye, sis. And then zombie eats her.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's constructed for us because we see the zombie moving in the background, which she doesn't see because it's behind her. And it's a forced artificial thing so that we can be scared or worried or something.
sad. That's the thing is like once they get
no
through,
reason for her to stand there. The door is open.
Yeah, once they're
through the door.
Yeah, once they get that door open and they start moving through, there is time. There's time because you see them all pile through and she doesn't move.
Mm-hmm.
If she had just moved with the rest of them, wouldn't be an issue. Would still be alive. Now, granted, if she didn't do this, then we wouldn't have the other sister opening the door, killing everybody but the dude in the blue suit, and then like the old cowardly man. But like, there's that, and I'm like, there was a better solution to all of this, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because she's the beginning of the falling apart. She's the first unjustified killing.
Yeah.
It's still as a result of Cowardly Guy, but it's when he starts earlier. But it's not. But she is the first one where I'm like, but why did she have to die? There's no reason she had to die.
Yeah, older sis didn't have to die. It was unneeded. It was unjustified, and it didn't benefit the story because even the actions afterwards still led up to nothing positive.
So, is it supposed to be in basically real time, I guess?
I think so.
Because she says to
it
the
might
sister,
be a little bit longer than real time just because, like we have like the shifts of time in the beginning compared to like...
Well, no, I mean once they're on the train.
No, that's what I'm saying. Even once they're on the train, I don't think it's real time. I think it's like a little bit afterwards because you have the homeless dude and then you also have the infected woman. And I think that was a little bit of build up. And then once the first attack happens, I think that's the real time point. It's from then all the way to the end would be real time.
Because she says to the sister about the egg that she won't eat. Like, what's the point? We'll be there in like an hour.
Yeah.
So it's and the movie is like that. from that moment, there's way more than an hour of movie, and they never even make it to Busan on the train. They make it like the station before. Now they stop at the station in the middle for, I don't know, 10 minutes or something.
They did slow down. They stopped. We don't know how long they actually stopped, but it couldn't have been that long.
No.
They literally get off the train, walk through here, go, and
then
where's
run.
everybody at? And then it's just like army zombies, and then run, and then back on train and go. So, okay.
I know nothing about the geography of Korea, though, so
Yeah, neither do I.
I have no idea where any of
They
these
obviously
places
have
are.
a lot of tunnels their trains
They
go
do have
through.
a lot of tunnels. It's so many tunnels. Because they're like, well, we should do it during this tunnel. But if we can't, there's another tunnel like 2 more minutes past that. So it's a ton of tunnels.
I don't know why this says car eaten.
Are
My note says, I feel bad for old lady. Not the one that died, the sister. And then car eaten, dial ex-wife.
I don't know. He has her in his phone, at least according to the subtitles, as ex-wife.
Yeah, literally.
Rather than her name. Now,
Well,
that could be a subtitling thing. I don't know what it actually says in Korean, but
I'm trying to think of everything else.
most of the subtitling seems decent otherwise, though. There's not like weird, awkward phrasings or places where it seems like no one would say something like that constructed that way, like sometimes there is. So it would be odd if it was like, this is totally not what it says.
Thinking about this, it's kind of, I'm the blah 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 words please work. I'm kind of interested in how accurate the behavioral patterns that we see in the movie are compared to actual South Korean citizens. Because like I know there's like a cultural difference between being an American and being a South Korean, but at the same time, I know myself, as any of those people who managed to get through to the last car, I would have beaten the man to death. Like, I wouldn't have just punched him. I would have taken...
That's what I mean. That's what I want to happen. I want the baseball bat to come out and his head to come off in very slow, small pieces.
Yeah. But, you know, like, I'm saying this because we get a lot of this type of behavior. We get little pieces here and there where it kind of makes you think, well, maybe he's not so much cowardly as much as he knows more because he has more connections. Now, I bring this up because we have, what's his face? Fund manager asshole dude.
Dad.
Dad. He has connections that he had kind of been talking to. That's why it's like, you're going to go into quarantine. Well, I don't know why quarantine is bad. It's not like, you know,
I don't know.
It's not like your alien quarantine. Alien quarantine, like, oh, you have this thing attached to your face. Yeah, you're screwed.
Well,
but it's
quarantine in Cloverfield looked like a bad time.
Yes, very well. That's you have something on your face, kind of thing.
It wasn't so bad in what was the Host?
Yeah,
they were just kind of kept away from people, and they
you just
more
put
about
in a
what
tent,
was going on. Yeah,
and then you stay in the tent while people in hazmat suits examine you to make sure you're not infected with something.
It was bad for them because they knew they had to save Korea, but it wasn't like torturous or anything.
And see, like, I feel like this would be the same thing because once again, a South Korean film.
We'll put you in a tent.
Yeah,
you'll sit there a while till we figure out what's going on. Which, hi, we're the military, will be no help because we're already zombies.
Yeah, we're already zombies.
So,
but okay, so
there's no police at all. We never see the police.
No police. So he has some connections. He's talking to like a reporter. He's talking to some military dude. He's got his analyst Kim who's looking into stuff.
Yeah, I don't know who this military guy is.
Yeah, it's like you got like all these people that just the dad is talking to. And so I'm like, okay, well, this guy who's just a fund manager, like he knows people. Like, okay. And then you have this other dude who is the coward, and he's like, I'm like a COO of some kind of transportation company.
A bus company.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so he has a position of power, so he probably knows people, and he's being really secretive because he knows shit hit the fan, and that's why he's like, don't stop here, go here. And I'm like, okay, well, that would kind of make sense if he wasn't, like, he knew and he didn't want to share, but it's like, nah,
we don't see that.
He's just a coward who wants to go home to his mommy.
Yeah, which I don't know why other blue suit guy who I want to call a conductor because he's
Yeah.
what would be a conductor on an American passenger train, but they seem to be calling the engineer guy the conductor,
Yeah.
which is confusing and I don't understand. But
The train workee.
yeah, I guess what can we call him? A porter, maybe?
Yeah. Okay, we got the blue porter. We
he's
got
a
the
porter.
blue porter.
Why
It's-
does he listen to bus company guy? Like, he
Because-
doesn't own the train company. Why does he listen to it?
Because he's a pushover.
I guess, but
Now,
it's a whole train full of pushovers, except for the 5 people we follow around.
yeah, and see, like, and that's kind of why I brought up the whole, like, the cultural aspect behind the mentalities, because, like, this is something that I think we would have seen close in, like, an American-style version, where it's like, you're going to have people who are scared, who don't know what to do, and they're just going to follow people, but then you're going to have those who are like, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah, we're totally missing the people who aren't sure who to follow. Because
Yeah.
even when we only have like 4 or 5 characters in Night of the Living Dead and they're just in a house and there's no other contact with anyone except the one-way radio, there's still like, okay, this guy is afraid, he wants to hide in the basement, this guy says we can do something, and there's only like 3 people besides the 2 extremes, and they flip back and forth, and nobody's sure. Like, we'll follow him for a while, maybe we'll follow him, and things change.
And there's
But it's
none
just
of that.
Everybody besides the people that we follow around are just like, yeah, cowardly guy, yeah, it's fine.
Whatever he says, we're with it.
Nobody's like, maybe we should, or nobody changes sides. Like, I'll follow them into the vestibule because I think you're crazy.
Yeah.
There's no, like, they're tying up the door. No one says, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Like, what if we got to escape?
Yeah. Which then, once our characters get into the vestibule, then they do the same thing with the door. I don't know where they got so much extra cloth, but they're doing it too.
No. They're doing it again. They're not doing it too. They're doing it again. Like the people who used all of the cloth to tie the door so it wouldn't open.
Yeah.
They're doing it again. They're just doing it on the other side.
No, they are, but I thought the other characters were doing it too on like the door on the other side, like the forward door.
Because that was the thing, is because you had all of the followers, the sheep people, and they were needing like more ties and stuff, and they were doing it on the other side. And like, when they're tying it, that's when we see like the younger sister go to the door and open it, because they were in the process of tying it. So those people who just broke through, like, they can't get in here now. So like, now you definitely like trapped yourself in.
Yeah, because they can't even open the door if they need to.
Yeah. Idiots. But we're getting a sequel.
I don't care.
Well, I'm kind of interested because it's going to be directed by the same dude. Now, visually, I think this movie is really good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you got people who have to act as zombies, and then you're going to have like your CG zombies for like when they just pile on top of each other. And
the piling thing
is weird.
It's weird.
It's like one of those Indian kind of Bollywood movies. Yeah, I've seen some weird shit, and that's what this reminded me of.
Well, and the one at the end goes on for much too long.
Yeah.
Also.
But
it looks good,
Yeah.
and half of the story is good. It's just the second half. So
yeah, like, okay, so like, now I do like most of the story. I just think the execution failed because you have like issues with dialogue, and then there's like a scene here and a scene there that I don't like. But the dude who directed this one, he's directing the second one. There doesn't seem to be much information on it, so I don't expect there to be the exact same characters because, I mean, like, almost everybody died, and I mean, we got to have something different.
Well, then why would we want to follow pregnant lady and the daughter?
Exactly.
They don't have anything, like, they weren't active really doing anything. So it's not like, I mean, it could be that they try to do something like that, but they don't have the setup for it. Because something else that I did also kind of think of just in the construction of it, and also because zombies, is the first season of the Telltale Walking Dead video game. It has similarities to this, including the little girl thing that survives to the end. but in that case, Clementine was active and useful and did things, and so it's possible for her to go on after
didn't you
the
play
fact.
as Clementine?
You play as
So-
Clementine a couple of times, only in certain cases, but mostly you play as Lee. But the daughter doesn't do anything except have to be rescued and sit quietly while she's. I mean, she's not a nothing character. Like she tries to be a good person. She lets the old lady sit down because grandma's knees, and so she's the counterpoint to his basic equivalency to most of the other characters. The sort of like you have to do it for yourself kind of thing and screw everyone else. And she's the counterpoint to that.
See, now that was something I didn't like about this movie because, like, Cowardly Dude is, I think he's a better example of he's doing this for him, not for helping other people. But when you have Dad isn't doing it for himself, he's doing it for his kid.
Yeah.
And I know she doesn't understand this because we get the scene where, like, Tough Dude is trying to explain, like, the dads get all the shit and no credit. But, that's just part of being a dad.
Except he's not a dad yet.
Not a dad yet, yeah. It's like, did I sound kind of cool? It's like,
no.
we're going to die.
Yeah. Which I didn't like that either, because he's like, oh, I just made a speech like I was in a movie. But to temper that, so we're not like, oh, look at him speechifying in the movie, this sucks, then we'll lantern hang it, but it doesn't actually help, and it actually makes it worse, because then it's like, oh no, you could have just had the speech. Fine, make a speech. People make speeches in movies even though real people don't really. That's fine, but don't lampshade it like that. It's just clunky, and I didn't care about it. He was an uneven character. Like, I mostly liked him.
Yeah,
but then every now and then he would drop into this like pettiness after he was, because like the first time he does it, it's kind of justified because they did slam the door on him. I thought they could have let them through. It would have been safe.
Yeah.
So he was kind of justified. But then they did open the door again, so that negates his, like, you closed the door on me. Because it's like, well, yeah, I did, but then I opened it and you're still alive.
See,
so calm down.
The thing with that is they were going to the door, they were clear, and then he closes it on them.
Yeah.
It's not like he closed it and then he left it closed while watching them come. Like, that's kind of the problem. Like, I think for simplicity's sake, to make this not look like it's just a bunch of, I don't know a proper word to use for this. Just like, you close the door because there's zombies, and then you see them and they get closer, then you open it and you let them through. There's no need for this conflict. It's dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's dumb.
It's forced conflict.
And then, like, them handling, now the reason, that's why I call him the tough guy. It's because he's kind of got this, like, almost I'm a bully aspect of him. But he doesn't really do anything with it. He just kind of talks some smack, and it is pretty petty, yes. But that's the you need a tough uncle to take you to school because you're getting picked on. Like, that's the kind that's the kind of guy that you use because that's the attitude.
But it's weird that it manifests in pettiness in between acts of helping other people at danger to himself. So it's like, we just fought our way through this. Now we have a quiet moment. Now I'm going to turn to you and say something petty again. I'm like, well, but who are you? Like, it was fine the first time. We didn't really know him yet. He was angry because of the situation. But then when they do it again the second time, and then I think they do it a third time too, but it's not as bad. It's mainly that second time that's the bad. And I can't even remember what it was about or what he said. But it only even sort of worked the first time, but it also still didn't, because it only resulted from a forced conflict that we didn't have to have, which was the first time I got worried, because even though that's still in the good part of the movie, I thought, oh, we're not going to have this, are we? And then mostly we don't, because then we move past that, and then they kind of group together and they're trying to survive, and they're kind of alone, and it's a small number of them, and then they get separated and it's even smaller, and then they're working back towards each other. And then Cowardly Guy comes in and all of it comes back and it falls apart. I like that they're mostly not dumb.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a few things that, okay, so
they notice things and they figure things out.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we can use the dark. Oh, we can climb up there. And
like, we can use the phone to make sound.
We can use the phone, yeah.
Now, that's something that gets me, is there are a few times where they use their noggin to come up with a solution, but they never really try to repeat the solution in an effective manner.
Yeah, they do each thing one time, and then it seems like they
Yeah.
forget sometimes what they already discovered.
'Cause, like,
that's true.
Whenever he uses the phone the first time because he wants to actually make sure it works, and he sacrifices Tough Guy's phone. Like, okay, now you have the opportunity to kind of collect things, kind of like that can, or something you could fit into your pocket that you could throw later. You know, we saw those baseballs drop, and that was the thing. It's like the baseballs dropped. They didn't want to actually attack the baseball players because the kid was there and like their family kind of thing. And that's whenever it gets dark and they kind of slip right past him without any issue. It's like, it would have been nice to see the kid pick up a baseball or something, because we know he plays baseball. It'd be handy. And then they get to the one thing. Why, when the dude steps on the can, like, why didn't someone just kind of toss the baseball or something all the way to the back again to draw their attention to provide
Yeah,
cover?
because they're like, oh, well, the tunnel clears, and they just like he pushes the guy behind the seat, and he dives behind the other seat. But then they act like they're just stuck there.
Yeah.
When they could do something like the things they did before, distract them somehow,
Yeah.
make a sound on the other side of the car, and they just don't. Even though the last time they did it was 3 minutes before. So yeah, they do.
That's why
They
I'm like,
forget easily.
that's why I'm saying, like, collect things.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're playing a video game, you collect items that might be useful later. It's that same kind of concept. You did this once, do it again.
Yeah, they're not good at building their inventory.
Yeah, and like even the dude, like if he's like stuck hiding behind the chairs, you don't have to throw it straight. You can always like do the overhand behind your head kind of thing, which would have
He
worked
doesn't
just
have
fine.
to stand up so they can see him.
Yeah.
Just like or like point. That would have been better if instead of the cheap like, oh, now we have to run because homeless guy stepped on the super obvious can. Like, gesture to him, have him pick up the can because it's on his side, and then he throws it. And then that actually has the benefit of making the homeless guy active and useful,
Yeah.
which he mostly isn't.
Now, see, that's also something I do not like in movies. Is like, oh, if you have a homeless guy, the homeless guy is useless. Like, he's got no motor functions. He can't speak well. Like, there are plenty of homeless people around the world.
People experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, whatever. But that doesn't mean they aren't functioning human beings.
Yes.
And so every time we see one, it's always like they suffered such mental trauma, or they're so physically impaired that they're useless, but we just kind of have to have them there. Like, I don't like that.
Mm.
You know, because even at the point where he is on the train and he's like, everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. Like, they already have went through so much at that point that whenever they're at the station, he's like, no, I overheard your conversation. I'm going with you. Like, we now know he's not losing himself anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he is stable enough to have conscious thought and processing and decision-making all together in one scene. Bam, right there we go. And you're going to tell me that he can't be more useful? Like, yeah, I can understand the whole, like, I sacrificing myself so the other two can survive by holding these zombies off, and then more just going to come through the broken glass and I'm dead.
Yeah.
Which is a little sad because he kind of redeems himself a tiny bit, but I want more from him. I mean, even the other baseball players who are unimportant do more than he does.
Yeah.
And they die like super early compared.
It did bother me that they stuck something through the handles at one point, and then they took it off to let some people through, and then they didn't put it back. And then there's this whole long period where they're just fighting to try to get the lock at the top of the door to latch so that they can run away. And it's like, but you already had the solution. You have a baseball bat right there that you already used for this. Stick it through the handles and run. And they don't, because we have to have the tension of, oh, the train's going to leave. They're not going to make it. Now, he does, at one time, add something to his inventory, because he does step aside and then pick up the like police shield or whatever it is.
Yeah.
As he's running towards the train, so that he can
They stopped
fight
using
stuff
that
off.
like really quick.
They stopped using it really quick, but at least he did pick up something useful at one time.
Now, that also kind of makes me wonder, because I know this is South Korea and not the United States. I'm surprised there weren't like just guns laying around. Because you have like the military, and normally the military is armed, and I can understand like,
well, the ones at the tunnel are. So
Well, exactly. And I'm kind of surprised. Like, once you're dead and turned into a zombie, you probably can't function or can't use a firearm. But that doesn't mean that it didn't, like, maybe fall off your shoulder, or maybe your sidearm was still on you or something. Like, there's just a total lack of firearms for the military.
there's no guns at all.
Yeah.
I am glad, though, that we were spared the, someone has a gun, and so then that's how they take control of the situation.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Because that would be just as bad as Cowardly Guy doing it with nothing at all except making people afraid and unreasonable. So we were spared something. But yeah, there's no guns. And I guess all of the military was collected at the bottom of the stairs, and they just run, so there's no time to pick up anything. Very ineffective, this is the direction you go barricading, though, because it's all yellow and threatening, but it's not like attached to anything,
No,
and,
it's just...
and there's no one around to guard it. Because
it's almost like just laying,
zombies.
like taking police tape
Yeah,
and just just setting it on the floor and just
this
like
way,
rolling
citizen, and it's just like, I'm just gonna ignore that because
Whatever.
it's not like that fence isn't the boss of me. So it doesn't-
Literally, he just moved it.
he just moved it.
And see, that's the great thing is it wasn't even a quiet move. Like, he picks up and it makes all this sound and no one cares.
No one cares.
And then, like, no one does anything except for Tough Guy, and he notices and he's just like, just leave them alone. Like, this guy's going off on his own. You know he's already kind of slippery, and you're just like, oh, whatever. Like, really? You think you'd pay a bit more attention, Tough Guy? Now, granted, I'm gonna give him some mass credit because he knew when they needed to do stuff, and he's like, I'm gonna take this tape and some socks and a shirt, and I'm just gonna strap up, and then I'm just gonna punch him in the face. Because unlike the other two, like, you have like a police baton and riot shield, and then the kid's got a baseball bat. Like, Tough Guy is punching them in the face.
Yeah.
So he goes through that whole thing. So he gets like 5 stars on his own for just being beast.
It just seemed like there should be a fire axe around somewhere on the train or something. But there doesn't seem to be. Now, I've never been on like a high-speed train like this. So I've never been on a train that actually is sealed between the cars like this is. Because if you go on like an Amtrak train or something, there's like sort of sides when you go from car to car, but it's not sealed. It's still kind of open, and like you can hear the sound and like air gets through and stuff. But I guess they're going 200 something miles an hour. It's a high speed train, so it has to all be sealed because everywhere else in the world has better trains than we do.
Yeah.
Especially like Korea and Japan and places
Christ.
like that. They have the best trains.
And the trains use magic. No, their trains use miracles.
Yeah.
They use miracles.
Miracles. How do they work? So how do you feel about stars?
I'm gonna give this one 4. I think the good outweighed the bad for me on this. But if we had that bullshit ending like Night of the Living Dead and they shot him,
I was so afraid.
I would rage. Now,
I was so afraid.
I was confident. I'm gonna say I knew, but I was confident they weren't gonna do it because of all the other events building up. So like, it kind of makes sense because it's a good payoff. But if they did do it, this would get 1 star, and then fuck this dude. But it gets 4.
Well, for the first hour and 15 minutes, it would be a 4. And it was a 4. And then it destroys itself so significantly that it isn't anymore. Like this, it's kind of like a Wonder Woman thing. Like, man, it's really, really good. And then they just throw it away at the end. It's just such a degree that it just destroys the entire earlier part of the movie. Not for the same reasons, because it's not like, oh, there's this whole thread that then we just negate.
The zombies are actually real.
But it's just so, like, once that point, just half the movie almost, I'm just angry and mostly just don't even care anymore. it's like it's intermittent between like I'm really angry at this, now I'm not angry, but I just don't care about what's happening, now I'm angry again. And so like half the movie is almost totally unenjoyable. So it gets 2 stars, which makes me really sad because the first half is really good. Maybe it won't bother you as much as it bothered me, so you should still watch it. And the good parts are still really good and worth seeing. So I'm not telling you not to watch it, but
I think he's telling you not to watch it.
I'm not telling you not to watch it.
Go ahead and watch it.
Go ahead and watch it. You should watch it. And also, I feel like you probably have to watch it anyway because, like, we're really late to this.
By 2 years?
Well, no, it's only been out in the U.S. for, like, a year. But, I think.
It's listed as 2016.
Yeah,
so.
but that's in Korea and at the Cannes Festival. I don't think... I've only had people telling me about it for, like, a year. But... And yes, Dave, we didn't ignore you when you told us that we should watch it back whenever that was. We just hadn't gotten to it yet, so stop the snark. But there's...
Sorry, Dave, I'm with you.
What? I don't even understand what you mean.
I'm with Dave.
Yeah.
Like he wanted us to watch the movie.
Well,
didn't he say he liked it or something?
I wasn't. Yeah, I think so. But
I got you, fam.
But so we but we did get to it. Got to it eventually. But it was kind of like people were talking about it, and like if you care about zombie movies at all, then it's one of the ones that you'll eventually have to see, or people will look condescendingly
what
at
do you mean you
when
haven't
you say
seen
you
Train to
haven't
Booty
seen it.
Sand?
So,
did he just say Train to Booty Sand? Get him out of here! Get him out of here! I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want those zombies dead. I want the cowardly dude dead. I want the dude in the blue suit who worked for the train. I want him dead.
Piece of poontang.
So what? Well, wait, hang on. Let me cap that with.
They're dead.
So what about scariness? Some parts of it are tense, for sure.
Yeah, but tense and scary.
Suspenseful. There are some times where like people will move in like unnatural fashions because they're broken, but they're still zombified and so able to move around. Some of that's kind of creepy.
I can only give that a 3. Because it like that stuff doesn't really bother me so much. Like when it comes to body horror, it has to be like real disformation. You know, like that's not an arm. That's a centipede. Like, okay.
That's frightening.
You have my attention.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that bothers some people, like Other Tyler, who you may remember from the Hurricane Heist episode, which, if you don't remember him from the Hurricane Heist episode because you haven't listened to the Hurricane Heist episode, listen to the Hurricane Heist episode because...
It's a long episode.
It's a long episode, and there's like 7 people on it.
And Jesus Christ, the Hurricane Heist.
But also, yes, the Hurricane Heist. It's a good episode. It's an episode that I'm really proud of. But the like unnatural movement... bone like joints moving in directions that they shouldn't, or bending in odd ways, or just things about people moving that are not the way that people are supposed to move do bother him. So I imagine he has seen this. So I imagine those things did bother him in this more than they did. It's like that is like for him, like plants touching people and being like one thing is for me. It's just like, I will not watch this if I know it's there because it will bother me in like a different way than like spiders bother me. Because spiders bothering me is like a visceral sort of like, like, you know, there's this picture of a spider on the next page of the magazine. I didn't realize it was there, and it feels like I touched like electricity or something, and I dropped the magazine.
Snap's own neck.
That's not the way it is with the plants and people thing. Like, that's a, like, this is going to stay with me and bother me for a period of time. And I'm going to have to, like, deal with this, and I don't want to deal with this. So,
These people touching plants are gonna stay with me. I don't know how to deal with them. Tell them to leave. Shit.
I Well, we totally disagree on the main score, so I guess it's okay to agree on the scariness score, because it's not really that scary. There's some suspense and I guess the so-called thriller portion of the thing. So and actually the horror is not even in the Wikipedia article. I took that from IMDb. The Wikipedia article just says zombie apocalypse action thriller film. So
Train thriller film.
Yeah. See, I screwed it up at the beginning because I should have said a 2016 action horror thriller zombie apocalypse train movie film because I played the intro even. So
this is a train movie, people.
It's a train movie.
It's a train movie.
It is a train movie. Yeah, we didn't have to have the the committee meeting about it. So it's just like, I mean, it's in the title. It has train in the title, which doesn't necessarily qualify it by itself, but
well, like the train is 90% of the movie.
It's 90%, yeah.
So it qualifies.
Not a station wagon movie though. But yes, it's 3 for scary. Yes. Station wagon to Busan.
No.
The like super short summary in the beginning of the first paragraph of the Wikipedia article says the film takes place on a train to Busan as a zombie apocalypse suddenly breaks out in the country and compromises the safety of the passengers. Which I guess covers it.
I mean,
but it compromises the safety of many other people.
Not
as well.
on the train. They're dead.
They're
dead.
There was a tower that was on fire, but it's not really a towering inferno.
No.
Now, okay, so pause that music. I'm angry.
Are you?
Only semi. It's for the show. Just go with it. All right, so there was a commercial for some kind of car. I don't really remember. But you have mom, dad in the front. Dad's driving. You got 2 kids in the back, and one kid's like, hey, look at this. And then the dad just turns and just looks at the kid while they're driving. I don't understand why you would want to, you were driving a vehicle. It's large. You got kids in the car. Vehicular accidents kill tons of people every year, every day, matter of fact. And the whole point of
93 million Americans a day to car violence.
Yeah, to car violence. 93 million Americans to car violence. And so the whole point of this commercial was to advertise that this new vehicle from said company has this sensor on the front of it. It's like an anti-collision sensor that alerts you. And I'm like, do you know what also alerts you? Not looking in the back seat while you're driving, because you should be paying attention to what's in front of you because you're the driver and your responsibility is to keep everybody safe. And so like just seeing that commercial just made me angry, because it's like you're trying to sell me a product because I'm a reckless driver. Like, I don't like the system auto braking on cars, because if that messes up, then your car's just going to be braking all the time. It's dumb. But then we get this movie, and it's then, I guess, early morning. Like, it's still dark outside.
It's early, yeah.
And you have the dad, and you have the little girl, and they're driving, and he's talking to her about like the. The recital thing or whatever, because she sang like half the song and then she stopped, and then it's kind of like one of those, we're trying to do family bonding, but I as the dad am not good at it and I'm disconnected to my family. And then it's just out of nowhere he's like, oh, that was close, and just stops the car, and all of these emergency vehicles pass him. The problem is we get a good 4 seconds of lights and siren before this happens. Like, dude, pay attention. You are driving.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how early it is. If you're not paying it, it's like the dude who hit the deer. If he
wasn't looking.
If he was paying attention, he wouldn't have hit the deer, and that damaged his vehicle. Maybe only a little bit, but it still damaged his vehicle. And now we know we have zombie deer, which is terrifying. But that's the thing. Like, what if he didn't pay enough attention and he got in a vehicular accident with these emergency vehicles because he was not paying attention? That is my issue. Anytime something stupid like this happens with a vehicle because they're not paying attention, it makes people look overall bad as drivers. Because there's a lot of really good drivers. And there's also a lot of really bad drivers. And if you ain't paying attention while you're driving, you a bad driver. So no, I don't want to buy your car with your little alert sensor and your auto braking. No, I don't care about you, dude, driving your car and being like, oh yeah, well, I'm not paying attention to these sirens and these lights. Oh, it's people coming through emergency vehicles. Turn, look, tall office building, whatever, and then like there's like 3 floors of it that are on fire. I had to get that out. I'm sorry.
And that's all I have to say about Train to Busan. We'll see you next time.
Later.
We lose 93 million Americans a day to gun violence.
They're dead.